What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing a Tennessee Titans 2023 preview. So if you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe because I post content like this all the time. And I do know that this series has been easily my least popular in terms of views, but I think it's an amazing way for us to learn the teams. And honestly, at this point in time in my career, the money really isn't the reason I do this for YouTube. I love being able to get exposed and be able to have all you guys watch it, but I know a lot of you guys really do like this series, and it just informs me a lot better about your guys' roster composition. So again, I would love for you guys to support me. Again, it would be great if this series got a lot of views. And I know a lot of YouTubers out there that say that they wish they could do more team specific stuff. And that's kind of why they end up doing it on their Patreons, because it just isn't profitable enough. So show some love out there, not just to me, to everybody, because a lot of us, if you see a team specific type of preview or a team specific mock draft, we know that we're taking a hit for you guys. And again, we really do love you guys overall. You guys are awesome, and you guys are the reason we do this. So feel free. There's lots of links to get stuff into like the Discord. We have over like 140 people there. It is awesome. And feel free to message me there anytime. Twitter, again, got lots of stuff going on there. So let's quickly look at the rookies. So yeah, the first, all the things that are in bold are traded picks. So pretty much everything was traded for. Starting off with an AJ Brown trade for Treylon Burks. I think that it shows what the organization thinks is going on with the state of the team. You know, I don't think that they believe that the team's ready yet. And because you can't just ride on Derrick Henry's shoulders and pray that they don't cover AJ Brown. So you're essentially getting a much cheaper option with Treylon Burks, who's much more developmental. I love Treylon Burks. He was in the top 20 for me for sure. I thought that pick on its own was amazing, just at the cost of AJ Brown's not very good. So that kind of hurt me personally. Again, I know it hurt you guys as well. Then you got Roger McCreary here. You know, I didn't really think very much of him. Jahan Dotson made him look kind of like a fool, but hey, I'm praying that Roger McCreary continues to be able to put up consistent numbers because he did a very good job overall in college. He just has really short arms. I don't really know if he's built to be a boundary corner at this point, and I'm just really worried about that. Nicholas Petit-Frere was a guy who I had a second round grade on. I was very, very, very happy with some of the reps that he did. There were some reps where I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what is he doing? But, there were reps in there where I was like, this is top 10 in the class worthy. So I'm praying that we can hit on more of those reps than the others. Malik Willis, obviously the crazy fall of the draft. Everybody thought he was going in the top 5, top 6. Didn't happen. So awesome. You guys got a really solid high ceiling talent, and there's just going to be a lot of untapped potential there. Probably won't see much from him this year, but again, you're investing in your future. Hassan Haskins is just a solid back to add in there for some extra power at that goal line. He was a very good back for Michigan in doing that. Chig, I'm not going to say his full name, but Okonkwo, he is a very athletic, very unique tight end. There's a lot to develop with him. Again, you got very developmental players. Kyle Phillips is going to be a very good slot, very excellent, like very solid value in the 5th round. Just a very good player. Theo Jackson, Chance Campbell, they're late round picks. They're not going to be making much of an impact. I thought they did a very phenomenal job. I would have given them a solid A if it weren't at the cost of AJ Brown, but you can't get over that. That does still sting regardless of whether I want to accept it or not. And I know you guys feel the same way. So let's actually just take a look at the roster. And of course, this is now, it's alphabetically sorted by position. That's what I've essentially found out. So let's just look at the quarterback here. Ryan Tannehill, again, Malik Willis. That's a really solid duo. Ryan Tannehill has had a career resurgence. He is a very solid quarterback. There's like people who hate on him for saying that he's not good are absolute liars. Now, I know some of you Titans truthers think that he is the shit, but he essentially is somebody who rides off the coattails of Derrick Henry, and it's kind of hard not to, like, especially with your scheme. But given his play style, like that you have right now versus the way you had in Miami, it's pretty obvious to know that he is in the right situation. He himself is like Ryan Tannehill is not nearly as talented as the fans think, but he fits so well with what you guys need to do and what you guys do that he is elevated to the level that he needs to be to make this team successful. So I do think you do have Super Bowl potential with Ryan Tannehill as a solid game manager who is able to take advantage of teams being scared shitless of your super weapon, Derrick Henry. Again, he's just a different beast. You know, you have Hassan Haskins in here as well. Besides that, I'm a little bit worried about this running back room. Again, it's pretty obvious that you overdrafted Hassan Haskins out of fear. You know, it wasn't a very good running back class at all, and you probably needed just something to work. And, you know, you have Derrick Henry. God forbid something happens to him. Hassan Haskins is going to be your best chance at being able to just continue that flow a little bit, because the rest of the running back room is not doing nearly as well as one would hope. You know, I'm not a huge fan of a guy named Julius Chestnut taking over for Derrick Henry. I think you guys would agree with that. Let's check out the wide receiver room, because that's been the big change. You have Treylon Burks, Robert Woods, and Kyle Phillips, all the guys who could potentially play slot roles. You know, Kyle Phillips is a pure slot. They're going to put Treylon Burks on the outside, and they better, because you better not, you like with the wide receiver room that you have right now. And my God, am I actually scared shitless for you? It like you really need to maximize the usage of all three of these guys. And luckily for the series, we assume healthiness for the entire season because it's a level playing field. Everyone's going to get injuries, so you might as well say nobody gets injuries, just because, again, you can't just say, oh, well, I project you to lose your quarterback, so that's why you're going to lose these games. You guys know the deal. You know, Robert Woods, he's the best thing that you guys have right now in that receiving room, and Treylon Burks needs time to develop. It certainly might flip some games that have already been decided, because that is possible, because, again, that's why we continue looking through this. Again, just I'm really worried for you guys. Reggie Roberson, pony up, SMU, you know, that's awesome as a depth piece, but I'm really, really worried about you guys. Really worried. You know, you have Nick Westbrook-Akina, who if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Nick Westbrook-Akina. He had some flashes last year, so hallelujah for that. But I'm really worried about this. Essentially, Racey McMath, everybody thought he should have never been drafted. He just ran 4.38, and then you have three guys who should probably be playing. That's scary. And tight end wise, you have Austin Hooper, which was an excellent signing, in my opinion. Again, especially for that value, excellent signing. Chig is a really good developmental player to have under him. That's going to be your saving grace. The problem is you're already going to be facing stacked boxes. I don't really believe that their value is going to be nearly as high as in an offense where you're dealing with easier fronts with basically linebackers covering. You're going to have safeties in there. You're going to have a bunch of linebackers stacking that box, which, again, I don't really feel very confident in Austin Hooper's ability to produce when a very meaty portion of the field in the center is going to be boxed up by a bunch of defenders. So a little bit worried about that. You know, again, that's just kind of an out of the box thought. It's not really like set in stone, but I'm a little bit worried about that because your primary asset on your offense at this point is minimized in his potential impact, which is not great. But we'll continue. You know, you got Dylan Radunes here. I think he still has a potential to take a step up. You know, I do think that he's a very solid player. Nicholas Ferrer, I'm praying to God that he is the player who I thought he is. So fingers crossed for you guys. Again, I think that he's a very solid player. Taylor Lewan, you know, he's been through the dirt, man. I'm praying to God he gets back to his old form because you guys need it. You really do. You can't be having two essentially rookies starting and just playing at a mediocre level when you're trying to maximize Derrick Henry. Where the hell are the guards at? There we go. Nate Davis, really solid overall. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm not seeing really anything else here. And again, I know you guys are going to point out something and say that I'm an idiot, which is fine. Just do it politely. I'm looking more for your guys' help than anything. I'm not really seeing a true guard here, and I'm praying that you can use Radunes there, and I think that you did for a time. So I'm seeing absolutely zero depth at this offensive line position, and that scares the living hell out of me. You have some centers here, but just to be blunt, I've only really heard of one, and that's Ben Jones. So I'm really nervous about this, and I'm probably going to be flipping some games. I know I said I wasn't going to assume injury, but there's a certain level to that where you offensive linemen will go down and you have absolutely zero depth. So I'm legitimately concerned for you guys. Cornerback wise, former first round pick Caleb Farley. Hopefully he actually can stay healthy for a year. Christian Fulton, Elijah Molden, Roger McCreary. You have a group of really good guys here. Again, not really seeing much that's exciting me past that. You know, again, really not Theo Jackson, maybe, but like you have a top four and one of the guys has not even really played. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous for you. But again, Elijah Molden, big fan of him. I had actually a first round grade on him. Even as a slot cornerback, he was my baby last year, big or 2 years ago now. But huge fan of Elijah Molden. Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, probably going to be solid enough. Again, I'm a little bit worried because I don't know if Roger can handle being a pure outside guy against a larger, more physical receivers. And again, Caleb Farley, I'm praying to God that he returns because you need him. I know actually I just totally tripped up. I really had to talk about that. We're going to actually look at the defensive line and then go out from there. Jeffrey Simmons is a baller. He's a beast. Big fan. I knew that when you guys took him, I was like, this is the right spot. He doesn't have immediate expectations to be unbeatable. And you know what? He's been going off. Big fan of that. Haskell Garrett, another dude who I'm actually a really big fan of. Very good in pass rushing. Naquan Jones, Danico Autry, both dudes, I think were very, very solid. Danico, I think he was signed in this offseason or the offseason before. Really good signing, very solid player. Rashad Weaver, I think he's going to be taking that step and he's going to be making a good addition. David Anena, he was a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken, out of Houston. We'll see what happens to him. But I'm starting to see a little bit of a lack of depth here on this interior because I'm essentially seeing Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry as the dudes who I'd want, and then praying to God Rashad Weaver works and nothing else. You got Deshaun Hand here. So I guess we'll give him a little bit of love. But very scared about that. Harold Landry, Bud Dupree, obviously your two very prized possessions on your boundary for your edge. Again, you guys better be praying that if it ends up all going to shit, Miles Murphy falls to you because that would be a godsend. But Harold Landry, Bud Dupree, I think they're both pretty solid edge rushers. I'm praying together they work as an excellent duo. I mean, that money that you have tied up there is ridiculous, like ridiculous. So praying to God that works out for y'all. No depth again. There's just no depth on this team. And that really sucks. Linebacker wise, you got David Long in here. Zach Cunningham, Monty Rice. You know, you have some dudes. I like Zach Cunningham and Monty Rice. I like that. Like, that's a good duo right there. So big fan of what you can do with that. Again, probably David Long offers enough of backups there to where it's probably the best depth position that you have. And then let's quickly look at the safeties and end it off right there on the roster outlook because again, we already looked at the corners. Amani Hooker, big fan of him. You know, Shaheem Carter, I think is actually a baller too. I like Shaheem Carter. Besides that, not exactly super stoked about any of these dudes. And then of course there's Kevin Byard. Like he's a beast. Love Kevin Byard. Big fan of him back in the day as well as now. So that is going to be the roster. Let's kick right in to the records predictions. So starting off week 1, you go against the Giants and you know, this is where I think the run game is going to be the most impactful. And, you know, you're starting off in Nashville. I think that's a good way to start. You know, I don't really think the Giants will have it together and they're going to take some time to mesh. I don't think the Giants are going to be good at all. And I just don't have faith in Daniel Jones. But I sure as hell am not going to be choosing the Titans with their lack of depth at offensive line. Also against this Bills pass rushing is going to be ridiculous. So the Bills, I mean, we all know it's going to be the Bills and the Chargers pretty much in the AFC Championship at this point. So, you know, I don't need to discuss that much. Raiders versus the Titans. That is interesting. Let's dig into this one. So, the Raiders offensive line is a bit suspect. I think Thayer Mumford is actually starting, and he was a 7th round pick this past year. I was a big fan of him. I had him in, I believe, like late day 2, early day 3, which is crazy high compared to everybody else. And I just think he was a really solid overall player. You know, nothing to excite me about, but, you know, he was good enough. Running game, man. I mean, I'm just trying to think of, like, which team actually has the hand up here. You have Rock Ya-Sin. That was actually a pretty interesting trade that went down where Rock Ya-Sin went to the Raiders. Your pass rushing went down a little bit, but at the same time, you've been able to. I mean, I don't think the pass rush is going to be much worse. I'm not saying the Raiders' pass rushing is bad. That's not what I meant. I'm saying that they could probably cope with losing Yannick Ngakoue. I will say the Raiders, I think, also lost one of their linebackers for the year recently with an ACL tear. Correct me if I'm wrong right there. I'm a little bit worried about that, but I'm trying to think who's going to cover Devontae Adams. I don't really see it. You got Kevin Byard, who's going to be possibly the best dude you could try to put in there. Like, that's a safety, man. I don't really think that he can do that. I think this Raiders team is outmatching a lot of these secondaries, and I'm a bit worried about that for y'all. I am. I know the pressure can get in quick, but they have obviously the money man out of Clemson, and I'm gonna go with it, man. I am. That's a shocker to me. I was gonna choose you guys. You're going to the Colts. Colts also have their issues. Again, they sent Rock Ya-Sin over here, so I don't really believe in that secondary very much. You have Isaiah Rodgers there, but again, this wide receiver room is really vacant, and linebacker is essentially the thing that I think is a specialty for the Colts. I'm going to be rocking the Colts here. The linebacker is not a specialty here for the Washington football team, though. They're still trying to get consistency from their secondary as well. Carson Wentz likes to throw some errant balls, and you know who's great for that? Kevin Byard. So that's an upset game right there. I think that one could easily be Washington's because of one, location, but two, that defensive line could absolutely obliterate the Titans. I'm worried about that. Now, with this game, I honestly think that the Colts are going to sweep in this instance. I do think Darius Leonard is the X factor. I think he's the guy. I know he got thrown off by Derrick Henry, if I'm not mistaken, but I do think that he's going to create enough disruption, and they have Yannick Ngakoue there. This offensive line is not looking too bueno. I mean, Washington Commanders, they have some issues at linebacker that they're still trying to solve. I really don't think that's the same for the Colts. Again, right here, I don't really believe in the second line for the Texans, so that's that. This is going to be a great game. But I do think a fully rested Chiefs team will take it regardless. Again, I don't really believe in the secondary besides Kevin Byard. And then Caleb Farley, we just haven't seen it yet. So I do think the Chiefs could still kick ass right here. Now you have the Broncos going to Nashville. Now, I don't believe in the linebackers that much for the Broncos. Apparently, Baron Browning's been kicking ass. So that's a plus. I did like Baron Browning quite a bit. So I do think this is a one that you can toss up. Randy Gregory might be putting some good pressure here. They will have a full week off, and they have a very solid receiving core. Tim Patrick is not there, but they have enough weapons as it is. If I'm not mistaken, Albert O. Is Albert O still there? Because I think Fant went to the Seahawks, which that's a great one. So you have Albert O. That's going to be the only guy who essentially might be a slight liability for this team. But I'm going to call upset here. I'm going to say the run game and the climate difference is going to be enough to win in Nashville. So that's where that's at. Again, you're going to be going to Lambeau Field. I don't really care the situation. You're going to go to Lambeau Field from Nashville. And I think the Packers are as good, if not better, on their entire roster as the Titans. So also behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure that injuries are going to totally obliterate the Titans given that lack of depth. And I'm sorry to say that to you guys. That's just the way it is. Again, linebackers, this is going to be a surprise game. They're going to want revenge. So I think the Titans could actually just use that extra motivation. And again, I don't believe in the linebackers for the Bengals here. So that's going to be perfect for Derrick Henry to just continue chewing them apart. Eagles, linebacker is a little bit of a concern, but you're not getting past Jordan Davis. Again, I do think the Eagles actually could be a Super Bowl team. Week number 14, the Jaguars go to Nashville. Again, you lost Miles Jack. To me, that's a big no-no. I know that Devin Lloyd's on the team, but again, I really think that that's still going to be the game that the Titans are going to win. The Chargers are going to win this one. Again, they're very solid overall. And again, I just don't really believe in the Titans to have that longevity. this could be a toss-up game here. I think the Texans could definitely take it, but we're gonna just say they're trying to push for the playoffs. Cowboys, this is a ballsy move. I've been giving them late season victories. I think they're gonna get one here. Micah Parsons is going to be that X factor. And again, that lack of depth is just scary for me. Very scary. Ending off the year, oh man, I'm gonna give it to y'all. We'll see. We'll see when the Jacksonville video comes around. We'll definitely see that. But that's gonna end it off. They're gonna be 8-9, so it's gonna be sub 500. Y'all gonna tear me apart, but you know what? The real reason is because the top end talent just isn't there. You can tell the organization believes that they're not ready to put it over the hump, and they're not ready to fully invest in their roster in a win now. And the depth is just not good, man. It's just not good. And you really do need that when you're facing teams that are built to stop your run. You really do need that. You don't have the offensive line depth to be able to handle a good pass rush or the season in general. And then you don't have good enough wide receiver depth to be able to handle potential season injuries as well as good DB cores. So I'm worried for y'all. But again, you guys did better than the Texans by a good margin. So keep your head up high for that one. And thank God that you have Derrick Henry. See you on the far side. Peace.